Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon, Brandon Wound Pickups.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled that you are listening to our show,
Woohoo!
The Guitar Knobs podcast.
Right. Yep.
Jared, we're glad to have you back. I know that you were there for the last one, but it's still nice to have you back again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm wanted.
He wasn't here last time?
He was. I was just thinking of the Frost Giant one where he wasn't, which is the one that I just released. Anyways.
Down in North Carolina.
Yeah. So anyways, we've got a super special guest on the line today. Who are you, super special guest?
Eddie Serratos, a.k.a. Municipal Water on Instagram.
Fantastic. Where are you calling from?
Alexandria, Virginia, which is right
Outstanding.
outside D.C.
Alexandria, Virginia. I've been through those parts. Pretty areas. So Municipal Water, that's an odd name for pedal. We're going to get into a pedal company. We're going to get into that a little bit later. If you are searching around, now's a good opportunity to do that. Go to Instagram, look up Municipal Water. You're going to see an icon that says HOI. We will also get into that later. But if you see that, that's the one. Okay? And if you see some awesome looking pedals with killer geometric patterns on them, that is the one. So we're going to get into his story and find out all about these pedals. We're going to talk about cool guitar stuff, and it's going to be an awesome time.
Isn't it always?
It isn't always. And speaking of always, Tony, what do we typically do on this show?
Well, Todd, since you asked, we like to talk about gear, specifically boutique gear. Even more specifically, the builders of this said boutique gear. And you may be asking yourself, what is boutique gear? Well, this is not the mass-produced kind of craziness that, you might find at a large big box store. You can find some of these things there, but these are handcrafted pieces of love provided to the music industry by a very special group of personal builders, if you will. So that would include things like guitars and amps and pedals, accessories. Oh yes, accessories and all kinds of fun stuff. And occasionally, Jared, what do?
I don't know.
We do 101s.
101s, baby.
So
My favorite.
everything you wanted to know about a special subject. Maybe you
Sure.
didn't even know you wanted to know about it.
Well done. Well. All right. We got to say thank you to Rode Mics. Yeah, for hooking us up with some fantastic equipment. This is, they provided us with the Rodecaster Pro, this amazing little module that's letting us do our podcast, and the Procaster mics.
I love
tough.
Procaster mics.
That's right.
Just like the new kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, and you know what? I also want to give another great big thanks to all of the builders out there who have really stepped forward in these trying times and have found their own ways. Everybody said, you know what? I am a channel. I am a bullhorn. I am an antenna. And I'm just so amazed at the way that people are getting together and they're doing things for good, and people are rallying for it. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. We all tip our hats to all of you who have done that. Those who have started programs, who have done contests, who have done donations, those who are donating, those who are participating, all that stuff. I'm so proud of the guitar community in the way that people have reacted, not just right now. I mean, it's been like all year. And, and even when somebody's down, like, Brian Nutter, poor guy, Jiminy Christmas, of Nutter Guitars, former guest, amazing guitar builder, even better guitar player.
Yeah.
That guy's been battling for a long time. We had Mike Trombley had a terrible accident, and everybody's helping him out. There's loads more out there. And I'm really grateful for everybody out there. So,
well, that just speaks to the caliber of people that are involved in this community. I mean, I think just about every person that I've met that's involved in whether, you want to call it boutique or even some of the larger companies, I think they have really big hearts and they care about people that they know and some people that they don't know. And I think it's just, I'm tipping my fez to all those folks.
Well, it's a passion-based industry. I mean, Eddie, you're a perfect example of that based on the call we had and what we're going to get into a little bit later. That's why you do this. Am I wrong?
No, I love it. I love working on this kind of stuff, especially figuring it out, and the community is awesome. I mean, just even forums or even Instagram, just following people and seeing what they're working on.
Yeah. Pretty outstanding stuff. So right on, everybody. Let's get into what is going on in our music world this week. Tony's going to lead us off, and then we'll check with our friend Eddie over here.
All right, that sounds good. Well, this week, I got to work on a really cool project. A dealer down in Louisiana had probably about a year or two ago, I had actually made a guard for this guitar, and it's a 1940s ES 400 and Gibson. And these guitars were some of the earliest archtop guitars that were equipped with pickups. And this one in particular has a very unusual pickup. It's about 8 inches long, and it runs diagonally, basically from, kind of the bridge down almost to the neck.
That sounds like my wiener dog with a bad hip.
Yeah, I think it might be. but it's really cool. So John had sent the remnants of the pickup. Lindy Fralin had rewound the old pieces once before, and the celluloid just disintegrated again, and it tore into the coil that Lindy rewound, and the pickup stopped working. Mm-hmm. So he sent me the bits and pieces, and it was a very tricky job. I mean, I probably had more time in the project than I thought, but I think it's going to work out really nicely. I sent that completed coil back down to Lindy, and he rewound it, and he's sending it back up to me because there's like a wrap that goes around the outside of the coil, and he was afraid to glue it back on because he said, "Oh, the top of the coil looks so good, I don't want to damage it." So long story short, I'm going to get that back here, get the little thin celluloid that goes around the outside glued on, and get it back down to Louisiana. And I think it's going to be really cool. This coil now matches the guard that I made. It's the same material. And it's just a really unusual piece. If anyone is curious about early electrified archtop guitars, do a search for an ES 300, and you'll be amazed. Up until I think the first time I did one of these projects, I didn't know that this guitar existed with that big of a pickup.
Oh yeah. That I always wondered, what machine did they wind that monstrosity on?
I know it's literally it's about 8 inches long, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay, Eddie Serratos from Municipal Water Pedals. Why don't you tell us what's going on in your music world?
I actually just got my first Les Paul ever.
Really?
Holy
yeah. Never played one before. Had a bunch of guitars that were like sort of, I had an Electra guitar, it looks pretty much like a Les Paul.
They're still nice.
Those are awesome, but the Electras, but they're so heavy. And but I got this 2006 Alpine White Les Paul with an ebony fretboard, which I love because I don't like the ones with like rosewood, just visually it doesn't match. But anyway, this thing is great. It's like a 2006. Some guy was selling it on Craigslist, and I picked that up, and I love it.
Wow.
Is it it's a custom, right?
No. It's a studio. I wish it was a custom, but it's a studio, but it's still awesome. I mean, it feels great.
It still feels good.
Yeah. This is like from a guy who has mostly played like, Fender guitars,
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's very
Nothing
cool.
wrong with that.
Yeah, I never thought I would want one.
I had an 84 Les Paul Studio that I really, really liked. Ended up trading it for something, but it was a great guitar.
Yeah, they're great.
By the way, Eddie, are you a guitar namer? Do you name your guitars?
No. I have a hard time naming my cats or my kids. So
I name mine. Mine's called Gibson Les Paul. Mine's called Fender Stratocaster.
All right, funny guy.
The blue one.
The blue
one, or I actually name I do the year first and then what it is, and that usually works.
Right. So interesting.
Wow.
So they're all called
unique.
SG.
Yeah. Oh, 65 SG, 62 SG. Good enough.
Well, speaking of all of that stuff, Jared, what's going on in your music world, bud?
This week was a week of high highs and low lows. So as far as business wise, the mail system it's not been good this week. It got better. I would say last week and the week before, but this week it's kind of having a tough time with some really important things kind of getting stuck, and the tracking's not working. So I get, customers call and, where is it? Can you call? If I called, for every time someone asked me where their package was, you get on the phone, it takes about 4 minutes just to get a call back an hour later from USPS. So it's really tough. I would just be on the phone all day and get nowhere because it's all because of COVID-19. It's really frustrating. I had some equipment break. So, it's been kind of I had some Debbie Downer days, and then today was just a fantastic day. I went up to my favorite guitar shop and I picked up some of Zach guitars and a couple of guitars that I have now. And one is I think I talked about it 100 times before. One's a pink Paisley, and I had it Fender pink Paisley. It has an original flame maple neck. It's just beautiful. It's like a 1970 neck. And I had the body aged to kind of match that neck. The guitar looks phenomenal. I texted you guys some pictures.
Yeah, I saw them.
And I also I got for a steal, and I promised not to sell it, a custom made Telecaster, a purple and turquoise Paisley, and it's phenomenal. And I actually did the pickups in that for that guitar, and that's got an early Fullerton reissue Telecaster neck on it. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Fullerton plant did some reissue like Fender Strats and Telecasters in the early 80s, and they're quite collectible. So the fact that it's a neck from that era, it's a really, really nice guitar. So I'm really excited about those two things.
Who did the paint on the blue one?
That's actually Fabric, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it's done like the Paisleys.
Right. It's done like the Paisleys.
This is the blue. And you said the blue. It's a blue flower.
It's a purple and turquoise blue Paisley.
Because I saw there's on Craigslist there's a blue with the flower wallpaper.
Oh yeah,
on for sale. So
those are really cool. I really like those too, but I don't have one. This one I like a lot better. The purple and blue Paisley. It's got binding around the body. He really did a great job on it. It's a great guitar. Yeah. So Zach had a couple of guitars there, and one of them he had there was a Gibson J45, and it's one of those really old vintage. It's from like 1949, and the first owner, while the owner that had it most of its life, had the decals, the old school decal name on it, and the name of the guitar was Ralph. I don't know if the singer's name was Ralph or if he named his guitar. We were just talking about that. But it has, and a lot of musicians did that with their old, with their guitars back then. They would put decals on their guitars, and they're quite collectible now. But that had a lot of work done to it, and that thing sounds so unbelievable. It's so cool when you find an old vintage guitar that just still sounds really good, because it just looks so beat up, but the sound that comes out of it is just kind of like Willie Nelson's Trigger, right? It looked like he got it out of the garbage can, but he makes it sound so good.
Yeah.
And another guitar I brought back today was a 1959 Les Paul Jr. with the single pickup in the bridge.
What?
Yeah. So
what do you mean you brought it back?
It was at the shop. The body on it was refinished really badly at one time, so we took it up to Akron to Lays, and they redid the body and aged it to look like the neck. And
is it TV yellow?
No, it's the Burst, but it's still a fantastic guitar. The neck on it is unbelievable. So,
wow.
So, some high highs and low lows. It's the roller coaster week for me, man. And one more thing, Wolf from Wolf Tone Pickups is going to spend 3 or 4 days here at the shop. With me, and he's going to kind of help me out on some machinery I haven't figured out yet that I've had for, I think, 2 years now. So he's really good at computerized winder kind of stuff. So
wow, that's cool.
He's a good dude. So I can't wait to have him as a guest for a while.
That's cool.
At the shop. So, yep.
Right on.
Nice.
Right on. Well, for me.
Oh, how about you, Todd? I forgot about you.
Yeah,
do this every time now.
Who is Todd? I don't know.
Todd who?
Oh yeah.
I honestly, I've spent a little bit more time just kind of looking around. I haven't had like a new guitar in a long time, like a couple years. I feel like, and I just been getting itchy fingers about it. And I want something new. I want a new thing. And so, just been spending a lot of like trying to figure out, well, what is the thing that I want? And I mean, there's loads of brand new, amazing guitars and stuff. And I definitely like the idea of having something that is boutique built. And so I'm just trying to keep my eyes open. And obviously we've had lots of builders on. I'm not really in a position where I can just go, hey, I'm going to make it rain for you there, buddy. So I'm trying to see what I can do to make things happen. I have got just my eyeballs out and just kind of looking and see if there's any freaky deals that come up on Craigslist or at the Music Go Round, which is a chain that we have. We've got 2 of them here, and it's basically you can trade in your old gear and get credit and all that stuff. And so sometimes I've got some steals from there. Like I found some really cool stuff. So you just got to keep your eyeballs open. But anyways, that's what I've been doing. But how about some of this?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor.
Okay, Eddie Serratos from Municipal Water Pedal.
Hello.
What is your 4 on the floor?
All right. 4 on the floor. So I used to be really into Radiohead, like back in late 90s.
What was the song that got you into Radiohead?
Oh, man. It had to be like everybody else, probably Paranoid Android,
Okay.
So being in the back of a car in high school, listening to OK Computer.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was life-changing, man.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So number 1 was the Digitech, and I don't think this is the one that Johnny Greenwood had, but I accidentally got the Digitech Xp 100, which is, I guess, technically still the whammy, the red whammy pedal.
Oh, yeah.
That can like drop the pitch and increase, I guess, the pitch. That one's awesome. And unfortunately, it's broken for me now. So I got this paperweight.
Is that something that you think you'd be able to fix?
I tried. It's all digital. I thought I would spray it down with like contact cleaner or something like that in case like the chip was broken. I did look at the whole thing, opened it up. Nothing seems to be done wrong with it. The signal passes through the pedal, but the effect doesn't come out.
Interesting.
So yeah, I don't know.
Have you hoisted that up the flag on like on the forums and stuff?
Nah, not yet. I probably would just buy another one if I saw one used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, you can throw it at a robber or something.
Yeah. I pinch my finger with it.
Yeah, right.
You need to prop a door open. It works great.
Yeah.
Now, so you bought that used or?
Yeah. I bought it like in 2000, I think, and it worked for 15 years. Yeah, and for the last 5 years, it's just been sitting there. You know.
Is that something that you found that you used all the time, or it was like just for a specific song, or?
No, I mostly used it like with like a looper, like a looping pedal, because I could, like, I didn't have a bass at the time, so I could drop the pitch and play, you know, make a bass line and then record that and then do anything else with it. I mean, there's so many settings on it. You can come up with like any sound you want.
Right. Do you know what just came to my head when I thought about you doing that? The Ripper from Judas Priest, which is the opening, the dueling, the two guitars playing in different octaves, like
yeah. Oh, man, you could do that. You could totally do that.
That song. If anybody is not familiar with The Ripper from Judas Priest, by all things holy, you have got to go listen to that song. That
I will right now.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's a good one. Okay, anyways. All right. What's number 2?
Number 2, the Rat pedal. Yeah, I was late to that one. It used to be like big into the Big Muff, and then when I finally played the Rat, I loved that thing. I guess I was always a distortion person, but I love it.
What era Rat is your Rat?
I have no idea. It's just like an old, black box,
flat box, or angled, or
it's like the square looking one.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if it has an LED. It might have an LED.
Yeah,
I know that for a while. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you play the Rat, what do you have specific settings you like? Or you like to play all around it, or what aspect of the Rat do you really love?
I don't crank the treble too much. I mean, I turn the filter all the way up with the distortion, but I keep the high pitch. I like the mid range kind of stuff. So I tend to dial back the what is it? I don't know if they even call it a tone on there.
Yeah, it's like a cut. It's almost like a.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So now, we'll get into some of the things you've done, but that's a 3-knob pedal, which is interesting because almost everybody that does versions of Rats makes it more than 3 knobs. But when you are using a Rat, you're limited to that. So do you find that to be, a creative catalyst or inhibiting?
No, I mean, I like it. I mean, it's fine with me. Whatever a pedal has, I'm happy with. I'm just happy to have the pedal. You know what I mean? I don't ever I don't ever go into it like, I wish it had this or that. If I'm personally working on something, I always want more.
Right.
But no, I mean, any pedal, even like pedals that people hate, I'm like, whatever. I can do something with this.
Sure. Cool. Do you have a favorite? Do you like playing single coils or humbuckers or anything specific out of those?
I like both. Yeah, if I'm playing more heavy stuff.
You're really easy to please, Eddie Serratos.
I like music, I like all kinds of music, it's you got to have the right tool for the job. Right. So,
right.
If I'm playing
that's like Jared, that's kind of Jared's philosophy. He's pretty easy too.
Yeah.
If it sounds good, play.
Yeah. It's a good way to be.
If it's on the plate, eat it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes. Let's
just scrape the mold away and you'll be all right.
Yeah. Okay. What is next?
Next is, again, Johnny Greenwood, bass DD3.
Ooh,
or Boss DD3. I'm sorry, Boss DD3.
Yeah.
That's the last delay pedal I got. It works for me. I love it. You can do a lot with it. Again, especially if you have a looper or a looping pedal or whatever, to make loops. You can do a lot with that, just that one pedal. I know that they have a bunch of other versions. I don't even know, 6 or 7, but I'm happy with that one. Happy enough to not have tried the new ones.
Yeah.
So
the DD3 seems to be the one that everybody really does love.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's an age thing, where if you're a specific age,
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that we hear most common about that is that it while it is digital, there's an analogness to it. I don't know if that's true or not. I personally don't have one.
Yeah.
But everybody seems to kind of focus around that one.
It's an awesome pedal.
Yeah. Okay.
Final one.
Yes.
Something that was a paperweight for me for a long time until I actually fixed it. And I've heard a lot of your guests.
You have a lot of papers over there too.
Yeah. Happens. The Line 6 DL4.
Oh, geez.
The big green pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing is awesome. It's broken down on me 3 times. The first time I sent it to whoever makes the Line 6, they fixed it for like $75. And then thanks to YouTube, I figured out how to fix it on my own.
Nice.
So that thing's awesome. I forget who's the dude who used it. He's a comedian. Man, I wish I would have written his name down. But I saw him on some late night show using it to make like some loops, and I was like, oh, I got to get that pedal. And then I found out that the guys from Radiohead have it too.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, have you endeavored to paint it?
No. I'm just happy it works. I'll take it apart. It took me a while to figure out how to get the knobs off without wrecking them.
Yeah.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
But it's working now, and I've heard that it only breaks down when you don't use it. So
is that true?
That's when it's broken down for me.
No kidding. All right.
Yeah.
Well, keep that thing in play. Now, okay. That seems, when I look at that, I'm like, that's just, I appreciate what it is. And I appreciate everybody's love for that pedal, because people do really love that pedal. I look at that and go, that's just way too, I don't know that I would ever use half of that on there. Do you use all of it, or are you like, I love the way that sounds and I only use this setting?
I only use the loop.
Okay.
Everything else is just, I don't know. It's fun to play with. My kid loves it, you know?
Sure.
But I mean, I just wanted a loop pedal, and I know that there are other ones out there, but I have this already, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody told me that the Boss something station, you know, whatever. It's
the loop station.
Yeah. People have told me to get that one, but I think it's like $230. I'm like, I already have this. So
yeah, for sure. Well, and if that thing breaks, all you need to do is just, you can just cut a little slit in the middle of it, and it's an instant Kleenex box. So
there you go.
You're good. Okay, cool. Well, that's 4 fun pedals right there, man. Nice choice. And so you said you're a fan of Johnny Greenwood.
I was.
He was. Okay. For everybody that doesn't know, Johnny Greenwood is the one with in Radiohead that has really cultivated the ethereal nature of that band. He's the one who's always twiddling the knobs down at the, kneeling down and playing, and he's got this huge console off to the. He's a really experimental dude. And he also did the soundtrack to There Will Be Blood. Don't know if everybody knows that, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you said you was. What happened?
I used to listen to punk rock and all that grunge stuff, and that's just what I like. They say that like when you're 13, that's what you're going to listen to when you're when you're an adult.
Yeah.
And I seem to be going back to music that I liked in high school, or being like a teen. So
yeah,
simplified guitar, just bass, guitar, drums.
Yeah.
Nice melody.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's weird because I can look back and I still have all of my old Case Logic books that have like just piles and piles of CDs, and I'm looking through and I'm like, man, I was really into some stuff.
Yeah.
And I honestly haven't listened to a lot of that in a long, long time, but I find myself like, when in doubt, I go to the things that, not because I don't think that there's any other good music. It's just, there's something that happens, I think earlier on that, it's it's when all of the sparks start flying. When you get turned on to something early on, you want to keep going back to and catching those sparks. There's something magical about wherever you entered into music. That's the place that you're going to find that sort of fountain.
Yeah, it's calling you home.
Yeah, it's interesting. So that's cool. I appreciate that about when people can recognize that and are okay with it. It's weird because if you say that now, they're like, well, you don't like any modern music? No, of course I do. It's just there's a sentimental origin nature of that, again, wherever you came in. For some people, that's Hendrix. For some people, that's Nirvana or Priest or Metallica or whatever it is. All right. Well, right before we jump into our awesome interview with Eddie Serratos of Municipal Water, we're going to give a big shout out to John Finnell, music producer, arranger,
my man,
recorder, all that stuff, extraordinaire. Yep. And he is extraordinaire in that manner because, man, oh man, this guy understands guitar tone and he loves guitar, and he takes great care with figuring out what you want and making sure you get it. And he's over at Relay Recording in Columbus, Ohio. He travels around though. So like, hey, if you're in Los Angeles, you're like, man, this guy sounds really fantastic, I'd like to get him. He will go there and you can record and it'll be great.
How is he with the sousaphone?
I don't know. I don't think he's seen her in a little while, but, anyways, so that's John Finnell, JONFINTEL.com. Check him out. And he is currently, that's where what we have left of a studio is residing until we can get back to the world as we knew it before. So he's hanging on to that stuff for us, and we really appreciate him. And also make sure, if you are somebody who is interested in recording and you want to learn more about what can help me out as I'm preparing to do that. We did a 101 with him, and he goes through a lot of the things as somebody who's recorded loads and loads and loads of bands, that he gave us a great 101 on how to be prepared and what to expect and how to act and what to do once you get to the recording studio. Okay. It was very helpful.
That's a great episode.
It was. I listened to it and I wish I would have followed the directions he gave. All right.
You're a lost cause.
I know. All right, Eddie. Now, hopefully everybody's already gone to your Instagram. It's like, whoa, look at these pedals, man. This is cool stuff. We're very excited to have you on the show. You've got some very interesting looking pedals. Now, okay, I'm gonna throw this out here real quick, all right? When we say, oh, that pedal looks cool, it's like, yeah, but it's supposed to sound good. Yeah, but you know what? When it looks good, that's the first thing that catches your eye. If I didn't hear it, that's what caught my eye. I think that's okay. It's okay to say the differentiating factor that I'm finding here is, what do these things look like? Do I dig it or not? You've got a very specific aesthetic, I think, to what you're doing. And we're going to get into that briefly. First things first. Tony, do you want to ask?
How did you come up with the name? Because I think I'm calling the water department.
All right. I think it was a discussion I had with a friend of mine. I told him I didn't like well water and I don't like septic tanks because I'm from Delaware originally. My parents lived in the middle of nowhere, and I hated the smell of well water. So anyway.
Or septic tanks.
Septic tanks.
No, don't blame me, man.
And don't drink out of the septic tank.
Yeah, not a good idea.
So, so I was like, no, I like municipal water. So when I set up my Instagram account, I actually didn't used to put anything except, I think, silly drawings on there.
Huh.
So that was the only name that I typed in that hadn't been taken. So not very exciting, but that's what it is.
It's a good story. Okay, now what is the HOI?
That used to be my gamer tag. It used to be HOI. So when I played Xbox, it was Halo.
Yeah.
I had a friend. He was Chompy and I was Hoy, and then somebody told me that I think Hoy means hello, and I don't know if it's Dutch. So I liked it.
All right.
And it's simple, and I can line up the letters perfectly and make a symmetrical sort of shape with it. So.
Yeah, you didn't really think very hard about any of that. I think that's where a lot of people get really screwed up, is they overthink everything. I mean, I'm one of those people, so I can speak from experience. So okay, that is it. So that is your logo too.
Yeah. I wish I would change it to Hoy, but people have stuff linked to Municipal Water, so I might as well leave it. I know it's confusing, but it's probably more confusing to click a link and it doesn't work.
It's okay. You're not creating a worldwide corporation or anything. You're doing your thing, and that's fine. And that's one of the things that kind of makes it fun and unique and special, I think. Just don't put incorporated, or maybe put Hoy Incorporated
LLC.
Yeah, put Hoy Incorporated Corp LLC. Put that. That's that would actually be really funny. Yeah, exactly. That actually gave me a couple of ideas. I'm just saying. Okay, so you got this little kind of very special, unique thing that you're doing. You're not making tons and tons of pedals, which I think makes the ones that you do arguably more collectible. How did you get into? You already mentioned you're a big fan of Johnny Greenwood and such. How did you enter into the guitar world?
Well, I started playing when I was like 13. And mostly listening to, at the time, I didn't listen to Radiohead because, I think the only thing that was out was like the Bends or something like that. I really liked Nirvana when I was a kid, and Mudhoney, and, all those grunge bands, Soundgarden. Mm-hmm. Just listening to those guys. I think a lot of people have said just their music sounded like I could play it, Mm-hmm. So, listening to that kind of stuff, I really thought that I could do it too,
Yeah.
Wouldn't be that hard.
So when you were doing that, did you rush out and you say, cool, I have to have this kind of guitar and this kind of amp, or what did that look like? What did your earlier rigs look like?
I think I had like a Marshall, the little tiny Marshall solid state amp. I don't even remember which one it was that my mom bought me. And then a Squier Stratocaster. Just like a black Squier Stratocaster.
Are there any other color Squier Stratocasters?
No.
Also white.
I don't think so.
I wish I had a white one. That'd be nice.
Oh, that's better than what I started with, for sure.
So, okay, so you start off, you got your Marshall, you got your Squier, and then you began to progress. How did you go from those early stages to getting more and more and more involved, enough to begin dealing with pedals?
It's just one of those things that I really like doing. I can't imagine not playing the guitar, I just have to do it, I think a lot of people are like that probably, that you can't just stop doing it. Some people take it up and it's a hobby, and yeah, it's a hobby for me, but I really can't think of what I would do with my hands if I didn't have that sort of thing to fall back on. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's something I got to do.
It's in your blood. Your blood. Well, this might be, I don't know, maybe there's an answer behind this. Maybe there's not. Is there something specific about when you're playing guitar that is the thing that you're constantly trying to either capture, or what is the thing that makes you like really love it?
Wow. I don't know. Just figuring it out. Just like anything else that I take on, I need to know how to do it. I want to know how it works. And it's, I mean, how does a song work? How does a song get put together? Well, the first time I ever heard, like snippets of a song or a demo of a song of how a song is put together, by different tracks.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's how it works. That's awesome. So it became less intimidating to think about music in general when I thought of it that way. And I don't know. I guess I just feel like that about when I listen to music. I'm like, okay, how are they playing this? Where are they playing this? You know, where are the notes on the neck? It's just figuring it out, you know. And I think it's just from being into other things besides playing guitar. That's just how my brain works. I need to figure out how this thing works, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, that plays into a lot of what we were talking about when we first had our phone call. We'll get into that a little bit. I actually want to find this out from Tony and Jared too. Jared, what is it about the guitar that is the thing that that makes you love it so much?
The first thing that comes to my mind, I don't mean to sound like a sappy, you know, Sammy, but I think of my dad, you know, because when I was a little kid, I watched my dad play guitar all the time. So it kind of connects me with my dad a little bit, even though I have my own style. My dad had a different style than me. I still have, you know, some of his guitars. So yeah, I mean, when I play guitar, I'm either thinking about trying to make because I noodle a lot. Like, I'm a lead guitar player, even though I'm not like, you know, I'm if you heard me play in Nashville, I'd get booed off the stage, but I could still carry a lead. You know, I could still carry a good lead, so that's what I do. And I just noodle. I don't know. I have my style. I have my thing, but mostly it's like that's the one thing that I think connected my dad and I more than anything else. So you know, that's pretty much what comes to my mind when you know, when I see a guitar, when I pick up a guitar and play it.
Interesting. Very cool. Tony, what about you?
I mean, it's just something I've been doing so long that I can't remember a time when I didn't play. And it was part of my identity. I mean, it was like, you know, when I was in high school, I'd brought a guitar with me to high school. And so I was that kid. You know, and it just, in good times and bad times, you learn, you know, playing a song or.
Oh, I know you've had your share.
Yeah. I just don't seem to care. Yeah. But anyhow, that just the whole thing. And, you know, when it's comforting to play, and it's always a challenge. Like, you know, even to this day, if there's a song that I want to learn or, you know, figure out how they're getting that sound or whatever, it's kind of a challenge. So it's like a big jigsaw puzzle that you can put back together. And as long as you have the basics, and of course now it's actually a lot easier with, you know, the advent of YouTube and all these people who will actually show you how to play certain things, even though those aren't 100% accurate. But it's still fun. And then at the end of the day, when you can say, oh, okay, I learned how to do that, then it's just you feel like, you feel like you've accomplished something.
You know, I want to say YouTube's not the first one to mislead people. Some guys would come over and bring their guitar tabs with them. And you remember Guitar Tab out of the guitar magazines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not how you do that. Listen, this is what it sounds like on the album. Yeah. And you're playing it like that. Well, the tab told me to. The tab. Like, burn that thing in the fireplace.
You're talking about Harmony Central. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Harmony Central. That's right.
Yeah. I used to go during lunch to the library in high school and just print out a bunch of Harmony Central stuff. You know. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's just say those were all somewhat good starting points. At least you got the basic roadmap. So Todd, what about you?
Well, to me, it's the sense. There's two things. Number one, when I start to really kind of get a little bit lost in it, we kind of touched on this a little bit before. It's like the things that ignited that spark in you, whether it was rock and roll or country or, you know, whatever it was that woke that thing up. sometimes you can get there, like every once in a while I'll play a chord or something. I'm like, oh man, I can see myself as a kid seeing myself on a stage, wishing, right? And then I'm like, I'm here. I'm not, maybe not on a stage. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But I got the guitar in hand and I'm making like this freaking incredible noise. And, that gets into like the soul part. And then the other part is, I think it must be somewhat like, when those people who, are race car drivers or something where you are using, you're pushing an automobile to the limits and you kind of become one with it a little bit. Like if I start going and I'm playing for a while and pretty soon you just kind of get lost in it a little bit, right? At that point, I'm not playing it and it's not fighting me. You're just kind of very much like one with it. And then that to me, that's when you start to get like the unexpected things. Like the guitar starts to have a little bit of a voice of its own. You're not just playing the notes. You're getting something back from it. And I know that sounds kind of kooky, but I'm telling you,
yep,
it's it's something that I feel honestly when I'm actually making the music that I make for my band. Like when I get there, like the hair stands up on my arms. I'm like that right there, and I know that is good. And I love it.
That's the feeling you're supposed to have when you're in a band setting. If you're having that feeling, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, and even if you're not, if you're just at home, I get that down in my basement, just like, I'll just go. It's fantastic. So anyways, thanks for everybody for letting us kind of like gush on this stuff. But this is why we do it. We all love this stuff. So why not share it? Love to hear what you guys all think, by the way, too. So share that back to us in DM or, Instagram DM or via email. So let's get back to Eddie real quick. He mentioned something that we made a connection with, which was he loves the challenge of figuring things out. Tony, you're kind of a technical, mechanical minded chap. How does that connect to your pedal building?
Well, I mean, I grew up, my dad's an engineer and I grew up in he has an electrical motor. Well, he used to have an electrical motor shop. So I used to always see him putting things together, even before I knew how any of that stuff worked. And it didn't even click until I, was an adult, that, oh man, this stuff is just a bunch of subsystems, right? It's not just one thing that just works. It's a bunch of little things that make it work. So I started thinking about stuff like that. And then I got into computer programming, and it was, the same thing, a bunch of little things, little pieces of code that make the whole. Mm-hmm. So, when eventually I got to making pedals, again, a circuit is the same thing, a bunch of different parts of a circuit that makes the whole. And when I started thinking about stuff that way, it just really seemed to click with me. And I've been able to apply that to a lot of things. And I don't know if it's just like a way of thinking that tends to simplify problems for me, but it's just something I love doing,
Mm-hmm. You, on your actual Instagram, you've got a lot of pictures of things that aren't necessarily pedal builds or demos and stuff, but they're all very mechanically and technically oriented type stuff. I know you experiment with a lot of things. So can you talk about some of that real quick? Yeah.
I got so I have like a mill, like a CNC desktop machine that mills circuit boards for me, and also does the designs on the enclosures. And I got a laser engraver as well, which kind of works the same as the engraving mill. And I just recently got into 3D printing, which I was really hesitant to do just because I didn't really know that much about it. Mm-hmm. But I had been doing some 3D modeling, and it just so happened that all I had to do is plug in the 3D printer and learn a few things. And, I was, printing stuff, which is great.
That's cool. That's cool. So, as to the milling effort, hopefully some of you guys have seen what do I want to say? Your Instagram, and you've got your pedals. You don't mill all of them, right? Or do you? Do you mill all of them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, okay. I've been trying to laser some of them, but I haven't gotten there. I haven't had the time to do it. But yeah, all the current ones that I have are I have a painted enclosure, and then I make an image, and then I mill away the negative of that image, and that's what you see. So what you're seeing is really like the color of the pedal of the enclosure. I'm sorry, and then the silver or aluminum is what you're seeing. That makes the image.
It's one thing to just go like, "Hey, I'm going to mill my logo or something," but your whole aesthetic is kind of like this cool geometric thing.
Yeah. I actually accidentally stumbled on that. I've a lot of my earlier ones didn't have any words on them, so that made it a little bit easier to just sort of make a pedal and go, okay, well, if it's a fuzz pedal, what would a fuzz, image look like? And then just kind of
that's cool.
Work that way. Yeah. So if I have like a phaser or something, I would probably use some like a wavy design or something. You know what I mean? Something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of times, actually, I don't have a lot of pedals on there because it takes me such a long time to just even conceptualize it. It's a whole process.
If anybody wants to go check out, I did an unboxing on our channel at Guitar Knobs on Instagram, and got some close-up video of look at the enclosure and stuff. And I bring up the enclosure because that's the thing that when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, that looks different. That's awesome. And fortunately, it sounds awesome too. But it is different. And I think if you see it, it's just like, I kind of need one of those. So now, as to the actual pedals and stuff that you're creating, the one that you sent us to check out is your version of a Rat.
Yep.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that one is, let's see. So the Rat usually has 3 settings, or 3 knobs. It has like the filter, let's just say tone and volume.
Right.
I added some clipping diodes on a rotary switch, and then some potentiometers for the filtering section. You could just sort of shape the distortion a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, that's what that one is. And
well, you have 2 filters on that.
Yeah. That one has 2 filters.
So how do those 2 filters work together? So, and just real quick, there are loads and loads of versions of Rats out there. And what is awesome about that is everybody's got a slightly different take on it. There's 2 things that I found to be very interesting with this one. Number one, a lot of people use a 3 switch, or I guess a variable of 3 switch for the actual, to more compression, wide open, and you can probably say it better than I certainly am right now. But you have 4. Your rotary's got 4, and I was like, whoa, okay, let's check this out. Tell us about the rotary real quick.
That one I wanted to do. You know what? Off the top of my head, I have my notes. Off the top of my head, the first setting. So if you're on the left, you have the pedal there. So if you are on the left, that actually I left at stock. So that's I believe the 914 diodes, and then the other ones are, I think. Well, I don't remember specifically which diodes I use, but I use symmetrical clipping and asymmetrical clipping.
Right.
And I believe I use like red LEDs and green LEDs.
Okay.
And those are both asymmetrical. Those actually sound sort of so. Like if you're at a low volume, they kind of sound similar. But if you actually are playing at pretty good level, you can actually hear. I believe that the red LEDs make it a little bit more compressed.
Uh-huh.
And I believe I have a setting on there that actually has no LEDs.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it kind of goes from like really compressed with a heavier gain.
Yeah.
And then it kind of progressively gets wider open.
Yeah. I believe the last setting is no diodes whatsoever.
Yeah.
I actually might be confused. You know what? I remember now. It's 914, which is the first setting is like the stock rat diodes.
Right.
And then it's green LEDs, red LEDs, and then no diodes whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah. And the red and the green are both asymmetrical distortion.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry about that, but man, yeah,
No, you're
I'm
good.
taken back.
You're good. And then to complement that, so once you're messing around with that, and then you got your tone, seemingly, that's a lot to deal with. But then you have your two actual filters on either side of that, and talk about how those play off each other.
Yeah, so those just remove like the capacitor and the resistors from the distortion.
Okay.
And instead of having like a set setting, you're able to just dial it in a little bit for both. That section actually has one resistor and one capacitor that shapes the sound a little bit. And it has, it's a set setting. And then it has another one of those sets. But in this case, I just replaced those with pots.
Okay.
Yeah, and it sort of gives you the ability to turn the distortion, I believe the gain down a little bit, or turn it up, a little bit before you get to the actual distortion potentiometer.
Right. So it's like a pre-filter almost.
Yeah.
Now, Tony, what did you think about this whole thing?
Well, and it's interesting they're talking about those two filters, because I found, I think as you did as well, Todd, that they're pretty interactive, and they do play off each other. I think it was overall you could really, whether you want to call it fine tuning or dialing in your tone or whatever, but it's a pretty, I would say, flexible pedal in terms of in that whole rat genre.
Yeah, and you were playing it through your AC.
AC15, Vox AC15,
yeah, which is super freaking loud. Tony goes over and he's like, "Hey, let's check out this pedal." I'm like, goodness sakes, ridiculous.
They're fun and loud, and that's all you can ask for.
Well, it's a great sounding pedal. I found it to be very interactive and has a ton of range in the sound, which I really appreciated.
Try it with the gain, with the actual distortion a little bit lower, like maybe at less than half, and then dial in the filter ones. Okay. It gives you kind of like a really biting sound.
I like that.
Yeah, it sounds good with. For me, I like it with single coil pickups. It almost gives you like a big blackish kind of abrasive kind of sound, or like a shellac kind of. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people don't like that. My wife doesn't like that sound, but I like that sound.
Tony likes a good shellacking.
Yeah.
So now you got a couple other pedals. You want to talk about those at all?
Yeah. So I've made a couple of amplifier. I made a bassman in a box kind of thing, with like a boost beforehand. So somebody actually requested that I make them one on, I think it was on Reddit. They wanted the ability to have like a boost that can go in front of or behind a bassman. And I had never done that before. And it's actually kind of cool because if you put it before the preamp, you can actually overdrive it, and it works kind of like a fuzz, which I wouldn't have done that, but this person requested it and I did it, and I really, really liked it. I've been playing around with that and like different variations of that. I also made a reverb pedal. And then I made sort of like a variant off of like a Foxtone fuzz, Foxtone machine. And actually, I'm proud of this one because I sent it to Steve Turner from Mudhoney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he actually played it on, I think, their last album.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very
really cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, that was like, oh man, that's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's what I'm proudest of because of that.
You made it.
Yeah, I can stop now.
Yeah. Well, and for those who are beginning to get more and more interested in this and thinking, I'm going to have to scratch in your chin here. It's the chin scratching sound. I'm going to have to get me one of these. He just said he makes them and then he moves on. So if you see something you like, you might want to grab that because who knows? Maybe it'll never happen again. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, cool, man. I really appreciate you sharing your story, and I think you're making a really unique contribution to our pedal world, our guitar world, And I also appreciate that you don't just make stuff; you actually really love, making music and playing the guitar and stuff. So that's really cool. Now we're going to move forward to the next section. Jared,
ladies and gentlemen. It is the point in the show in which I'm going to sing this right here. Would you rather?
Oh, that was exceptional.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Till the end. What happened?
Well, the end, he kind of...
I had to make it wacky,
Yeah.
It's got to get wacky at some point.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it. Yeah. This week's Would You Rather comes to us from Really Angry, a.k.a. Tony Baloney, a.k.a. Tony. Tony came up with a good one. Gibson just offered a $59,000 reward, 59, for its missing 1959-60 shipping ledger, which is really missing in real life.
Wow.
You're at a garage sale.
Now, what's a shipping ledger, by the way?
So the shipping ledgers were actual handwritten books that somebody sat there and recorded the serial number, the date of manufacture, what the item was. In this case would be mostly guitars, but it could be amps and other things too. Mm-hmm. And of course, the date that it was sold and who it went to. So this, from a those years, 1959 even into 1960, some of the those are
the holy grails.
The holy grails
right.
of guitars are listed in there.
It actually is missing for real too. So
yeah.
Well, so you see it on Craigslist because it's 2020, not at a garage sale, and you find it for like $150, and so would you rather turn it into Gibson for the reward, or do you hold on to it and you look for a book deal to publish it? I mean, what would you do?
Interesting.
Would you publish it, or would you just take the reward and give it to Gibson and be the hero?
Loaded question. Tony Baloney, how about yourself?
I think I'm going to hold on to it. And, it would take some verification, I guess. Although Gibson could certainly do that, but I think once they got their hands on it, they'd probably never give it back. And I think I would hold on to it because I think potentially it could have, in addition to historical value, I think, somebody that wanted to, basically publish that book for all the collectors and dealers out there so that they could verify serial numbers and such and dates. It would be a great tool. I guess if I was really benevolent, I would just take it and publish it on the internet so that everyone could have access to it free of charge. I'm not that benevolent.
You're not benevolent. All right. Jared, about yourself?
I don't know that I would hold out for a book deal because, isn't that the property of Gibson Guitars? It
was.
I mean,
finders keepers, losers weepers.
Yeah. If you ask me really quick, I would just say I would take the money. I would probably just take the money, but I don't know. I don't know what kind of money I would make if I had it published.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, if somebody puts it on the internet, then they're not going to buy anything. So I think I would just turn it into Gibson. That's a guaranteed $59,000.
Okay. All right.
How about if I'm going to change my answer then? I'm going to keep it, publish it on the internet, and then turn it into Gibson for the $59,000.
There you go. Get best of both worlds. Okay. I like it. Yep. Screw them.
All right. Eddie, how about yourself? New proud owner of a Les Paul.
Absolutely.
I would turn it in, but then I would ask him to sell me a 335 in SG and then Les Paul custom in white at cost. Just to see if they'll do it.
They would just give you one, I think, if you actually found that and turned it in.
They probably would.
They're also missing the ledger that same year where they bought all their parts for all their guitars, and I've seen the 57 and I've seen the 61, but in real life. But yeah, the 59 that is missing as well, because that's such a collectible year for the Les Paul Standard. So
all right.
If you have it and you don't turn it in, like let's say you want to get a book deal, can they sue you? I mean, I know they.
No.
Okay.
No, it's been missing for it's dang near public domain at this point.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
There are real guitars that they get their hands on, the 59s anyway. So
yeah,
I
mean, maybe they could. They sue everybody else for everything, but I'm just saying, like, unless there's proof that someone did actually steal it, and it wasn't just lost in the shuffle of things. How do you prove that at this point? I don't know.
Right.
Somebody borrowed it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wrap this one up smartly, gentlemen, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tony's. I'm going to break into Tony's shop. With a balaclava and a flashlight in my little small flashlight in my mouth, and I'm going to rifle through his Rolodex, and I'm going to go beep beep bop boop beep boop beep, and I'm going to say hello, and he's going to say hello, and I'm going to say Joe Bonamassa, and he's like, yeah, what's up? And I'm going to say, I got something for you, bro, and I'm going to get twice that.
You think?
Oh, yes. He'll pay me twice that, won't you, Joe Bonamassa? That's what I'm doing.
Whatever.
I doubt it.
It's true. He will.
Maybe he'd just give you a guitar.
I'll take that and the price. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm holding the cards, baby. All right. We're going to wheelie out of this mess. Tony, we got a couple people to thank.
We do. We have actually much more than a handful of very special people. They are our executive producers. And you might be asking yourself, what is an executive producer? And secondly, how can I become one? Just head over to patreon.com/the guitar knobs, and you can see, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 levels that you can participate and become a patron or a sponsor, as we also say, of this podcast.
That's right.
But when you get to the executive producer level, you get all that great stuff. And that's things like barefoot buttons and stickers and T-shirts and keychains. But there's one more thing that you get as an executive producer.
That's right.
And I think, Todd, what is that?
You get to have your name written on the thing. Or read on the thing.
Close. Oh, man. You have one job.
Read on the thing. You get your name written on the thing to be read on the thing. How's that?
That's true.
Well, that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Or typed or text.
Well, you know what? Since it is already written, how about if I just read those names?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Special thanks to these executive producers: Mr. Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Carney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Stenchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lanthrop, John Anglin, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Tim Nowak, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Liam Martin, James Pennington, Steve Keys, and Richard Kendall. Woohoo! Oh, I almost forgot. We have another, just a step above our executive producers. These are our grand poobahs.
Oh.
In exchange for their extra kindness, they get a special fez that they are required to wear while they listen to the podcast.
Yes.
That's right.
So a tip of the old fez to these grand poobahs: Mr. Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Cody Lane, Cody Foster, Sean S., Tommy Manasco, Mark Garton, Christopher Marshall, and Adam Johnson. Big thank you to all of those folks. And if I haven't read your name and you participate in Patreon, a big thanks to you too. We couldn't do this without you.
Right on. Thank you so much. Eddie Serratos from Municipal Water. Crazy name. Pedals. Thank you so much for being on our show. We really enjoyed talking with you, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I listen to you guys every week, and man, I was surprised to hear that you guys were interested in interviewing me, but happily surprised. So thank you again for
there you go.
Me.
Awesome. And that's an outstanding pedal. Everybody out there, please make sure you go check out his Instagram. And that's really the only, from what I can tell, that's really the only place that you're operating out of. If you need a pedal, that's where you go. Is that pretty fair to say? Yeah.
You can find me on Reddit, but I'm not on there that much anymore. So yeah, stick to Instagram for now.
Yeah. So if you're like, hey, I need one of these pedals, man, just DM him. Okay. And I think you'll be very, very pleasantly surprised. You'll get a handmade pedal, and not one of thousands, but one of, a few, which is cool. Tony Baloney, where can people find you?
Let's just say you need a special pick guard, or you're doing some restorations on an old arch top or something like that. Whatever. Head over to pickguardian.com. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you need. I mean, I have some things listed on there that you can buy right off the site, but my specialty is custom work, and that usually requires some communication between myself and the customer. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need. I will get you taken care of as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I ordered something from Tony Baloney for David Kaminga.
Yes, you did.
Very cool. Tony, you should change your pedal name, or your company
pedal
name to, you should change your company name to make your guitar more awesome. Oh. Jared, how about yourself?
Okay, so I do pickups.
Cool.
All right. So BrandonWildPickups.com. If you are looking for some new pickups, I do vintage style pickups mostly, and I make them look old too if you want. And I also do rewinds. I rewind just about anything you can find out there that's a guitar pickup. I can rewind it.
Yeah.
So it's a fast turnaround time, and get a hold of me on Instagram, Facebook, or email, or through the guitar knobs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. If you happen to find like a really cool guitar from Craigslist or whatever, and you're like, man, this needs to sound better, Jared's your man.
That's right.
You can drop me a line, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram. I'd be happy to talk with you, and I share all the messages that we get with Jared and Tony. I just don't like their mucky fingers and everything. We love your questions, and hey, send us some Would You Rathers, doggone it. We don't want to just rely on the news here. So, Eddie, thank you again. Everybody, have an awesome week. And subscribe!
Yeah!
Aww.
We're talking about when you get all wound up. It's funnier because you're so big. But it's usually Tony's fault, so. This is where the wheels fall off, Eddie. Hang on there, buddy.
The dog in the background.
Tony Baloney.
Hey,
I'll
Eddie.
take.
I want to say something.
You can say it after I'm done now. Shush.
Oh my God. You got to keep that. That's good. Spectacles, testicle, wallet, and watch. Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
What?
So that
Tony, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.